Hi, and welcome to Page and Screen with John Paul Sarni. Today is the special holiday gift guide edition. So I'll be going through basically a big pile of mail that I have here at the office and things that have been sent to me that I think would make wonderful gifts for people in your life. So we'll go through some of these, and some of them I may have mentioned before, or some of them, the authors may have appeared on the show. But anyway, this is a very good list, and it's a good starting point if you want to get your gift giving ready. So to begin, Stanley Tucci's "What I Ate in 1 Year," and this book is one that I mentioned before. You know, his books, Taste, his last book was really wonderful, and then he's written a couple cookbooks as well. So he's on tour with this one, but this is a really lovely food journal that you can be sharing with lots of friends. And I'm about to just take this copy and mail it to someone in my family right now. So we have that to begin with. We have Mondrian, his life, his art, his quest for the absolute. This is a huge, really chunky biography by Nicholas Fox Weber that I think is really wonderful. It really starts with his years in Paris in the 1920s, I believe it begins. And so this is a big, juicy one for the people in your life who are real art lovers. And if you have art lovers, while we're on the subject, Monet, The Restless Vision, and this is by Jackie Wullschläger. And Jackie also wrote, I don't know her, I'm just using her first name, but she also wrote a book on Chagall, which has a lovely place on my in my pile of TBRs near my coffee table. But anyway, another great chunky biography. And I think this is probably the first time there's been a proper biography on Monet. So this is very exciting. And I'm personally just very excited to read this one myself. So that's for the art world. There might be more. I'm peeking. I'm looking ahead. Then we have JFK Jr., an intimate oral biography. And this is a book that came out. It was embargoed, so we didn't do anything on it with the show, but it's a lot of interviews and firsthand accounts with a lot of friends and family to JFK Jr. and some photos. And so this is, providing some new insight into his life and the tragedy, of course, that was his death. We have, and this was mentioned before, The Met, A History of a Museum and Its People by Jonathan Conlin. This is the bottom-up history of the Metropolitan Museum of Arts and really interviews all the people that work there and a real history of it as it carries on in years, and some great photos and some great insights into what the museum is and why it's such a cultural icon still to this day. If you would like to get a little bit, smarty pants and talk about politics, and hopefully don't do it over the Thanksgiving dinner, Landing the Paris Climate Agreements by Todd Stern. This is a book that really talks about how it happened, why it matters, and what comes next. So this was obviously a very, controversial moment in our history. It's very controversial right now as we, well, at this point, now that you're hearing this, the election's over. So I don't know, how did it go? Who won? Anyway, but this is something to look at as well. Also on politics, if you want to think about British politics, Tony Blair has a memoir out called On Leadership: Lessons for the 21st Century. I have here a signed copy of the British edition because I just do, but it's also available in the US, and you can get that now. Then we have Helen of Troy in Hollywood, which is really looking at the character of Helen of Troy, not just in movies like Troy, but also some other Hollywood classics from 1956, I believe. There was a big film, and other moments in Hollywood history. So for people that love classic Hollywood and a character like Helen of Troy, this is a fun one to have a look at as well. Then we have, on that similar theme, Stephen Fry, his book Odyssey, which is really Odysseus. And, it is, I think, the fourth in his series of these books. And they're all really, really wonderful and retellings. And there's something that you should certainly have a look at. This is, again, the British edition, but there's an American edition as well. And before I finish with these sort of coffee table books here, there are a couple of other books that I know are available in the UK. So for our British audiences, you can certainly find them. American audiences, you can order them from either places like Amazon UK. You can also order on, I like Blackwell's, I like Topping Company, which is where I got this Stephen Fry edition, which is a signed first edition. So, and they do these really nice sort of library covers, so the cover is protected. Those are really wonderful places and independent bookshops that you can be ordering from, and they will deliver to the United States. So this book is Sam Leith's The Haunted Wood: A History of Childhood Reading, which I think is such a clever idea for a book, and it really just goes through a lot of the classic childhood books and the experience of reading these books for children, but also looking at them years later. So looking at the works of writers like Lewis Carroll and Rudyard Kipling and A. A. Milne and J.M. Barrie and Kenneth Graham. So this is a really and C.S. Lewis. This is a really clever one. Again, this is the UK edition, which you can get from fine bookshops in Britain and have them imported if you like. Um, we had recently on the show Dan Jones, who's a great historian, and this is a historian that he quite likes as well. Alice Loxton, who has written 18. It's a history of Britain in 18 young lives. So this is just a different, a different kind of twist on history and British history, from Elizabeth Tudor and Richard Burton and a lot of different characters across history. But it's an interesting moments in their lives. So this is a fun one. There's been a lot of press around this in the UK. You can, I believe, get it in the US as well, around now. So that's 18 by Alice Loxton. And then finally, three books for the coffee table. The first is Taylor Swift Style by Sarah Chapelle. So this is a book from Sarah is a fashion writer and creator of a blog called Taylor Swift Style. It's on Instagram, and the Instagram account is Taylor Swift Styled. And what's interesting to me about Taylor Swift's fashion is that I heard this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I did hear that Taylor Swift, unless she's on like the a red carpet for the Met Gala, she doesn't want to be wearing a lot of clothes that the majority of people that are her core audience can't, really afford or emulate. So her style is very unique, and this goes through all of her eras and all of the different albums and her various looks and that sort of thing. So I think it's an interesting peek into that world, into the fashion of her life. And so that's something for I'm sure there's someone on your list who would enjoy this. And then the last two, Frank Caro we had on the show for his book Disco: Music, Movies, and Mania Under the Mirror Ball. But when we did the show, I didn't really get to really show you the book, but it's a beautiful coffee table book that's published by Rizzoli. And as I mentioned, if you listen to that interview, we really talked about the playlists. So he goes through all of the decades of the disco era, really from 1970 up until now. So there are playlists written down, playlist here of tracks that go up through 2024 and songs like Ariana Grande. And so it's really fun. I think there's some great stories here about disco, about the beginnings of disco, about the end of disco, although it never really ended. And so what that means. So that's the Frank DeCaro book right there. And then finally, Christian Siriano, The New Red Carpet. So this is a book that I was very excited about when I heard about it, also from Rizzoli. But Christian Siriano has been, it's such a fantastic designer. And this really looks at him styling a lot of talented people on red carpets across, the last, couple decades. And what the new fashion looks like, what the new red carpet looks like. It's not necessarily as formal or as classic as it once was. There's Laverne Cox is in here. There's some amazing people, and this is a nice big chunky one again for the people in your life who are into fashion or into Hollywood, into the red carpets. This is a wonderful, wonderful gift. So those are the books. Those are the books that I'm excited about for the holiday gift guide, and we'll have a list below that you can check out, and you can order them from independent bookshops or you can find them elsewhere. But it's a nice starting point to get your holiday shopping going. So that's it for now, and we'll talk to you real soon here on Page and Screen.